Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's gather and cheer up for the amazing moment that awaits us in the company of a stunning animation lord who's about to present us on a world-exclusive premiere the non-finalized version of his last artwork. Genndy Tartakovsky, welcome in Annecy.
Thank you, it's great always to be here.
Annecy and its festival know you quite well, since you were there in 2012 for the first Hotel Transylvania. You were also plebiscited for Dexter's Lab, of course, and Samurai Jack, which you presented in its series version on a work in progress in 2016, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
So this is 2 years without coming in Annecy. Do you feel better now?
I do. I always try to come here every year as long as I have something to say, or if the festival wants me, of course. And it's one of my favorite places to come to.
We always want you. Don't worry about that. I won't teach you that, more the contrary, but animation is hard work. It always is. And as a testimony to share with all the young generation of future animation lords, we should talk a little of your first steps in the world of animation. And if I'm not wrong, you were a student at the California Institute of the Arts, and this is where you produced your first films that drive you here now.
Yes, yeah. When I was at, I went to another school first for a couple of years.
In Chicago?
In Chicago, yeah, at Columbia. And then when I came to CalArts was the best school for animation. I was very fortunate to get in. And there, every year, we make a short film. And my second year short film was basically Dexter's Laboratory without being called Dexter's Lab.
And you pitched it just after your studies?
Yeah, and then I finished it, or I didn't even finish it as a student. And then later on, I was working at Hanna-Barbera, and before Cartoon Network started, and I got the job with the film because they saw the film and they liked it, as well as my portfolio. And after I left, all of a sudden Cartoon Network started, and then my producer, he showed the film to them, and they go, yeah, let's make a short film about it. And that was the beginning of everything.
And you just talk about Hanna-Barbera. If I'm not wrong, too, you were starting there, working on a trailer on the parking lot of the studio.
That's right, yeah. We were doing a show called Two Stupid Dogs.
That's it.
And we were really the youngest, people in the studio. And so they didn't put us into the studio. They had a little trailer by the highway. Not yet. And there was about, I think, 6 of us in this little trailer. And we started making the new shows of that era.
Considering these first steps, what would you like to say to all those students that are waiting in the line for your film, that are looking up to you while they're working on their own student projects on their own parking lots?
I think you have to finish your film. Doesn't matter how bad you think it is, because we, especially as students, you learn so fast that by the time you start something and the time you finish, you want to start it all over again. But you can't do that because you'll never finish it. So you want to just stick to what you're doing, finish it as best you can, and then make another one, and then make another one. And kind of never give up. Just keep going until that one thing will open all the doors for you.
Listen to this, kids. Let's quit the nostalgia and focus on today's energy.
Yes.
You are here to present Hotel Transylvania 3, and it's in a non-finalized version in front of Annecy's audience. Can you tell us first how non-finalized it is, and how this projection is a key moment for you as the director?
It's almost finished. You'll probably barely tell the difference, but there's still little things that we're adjusting, some sound, some colors, some final picture. And it's a really big step for me because I had an opportunity to co-write this film. And as I found throughout my career, when I write something, I write it from an animation point of view. As an animator myself, or always wanting to be an animator, I think of things very visually, right? And I think of it, what would be fun for me to watch as a fan of animation. So that's a very big difference. It's like, for example, if Dracula says, "I'm happy," that would be the normal written version. But in my version, I would have him dance for 2 minutes, right? Exclaiming how happy he is without dialogue. And so that's a very big difference of how a movie is told, how a story is told. And in the first two, it was a little bit more on the writing side, which was fine also. But in this version, we're really focused in on the visual and that kind of exclamation and expression of emotion.
The life in the movie, then.
In the life, the movement. There's so much fun movement, fun sequences. I think we have 6 or 7 sequences with no dialogue. So it really makes the movie much more physical, much more visual experience.
That's amusing because I was about to drag you to a question about the voices, and you're talking about sequences without dialogue.
That's all right,
but
there's voices too.
I have to say that when I was preparing the interview, I thought that the only tie that you have to reality is the voices of your characters or of the comedians that you ask to incarnate the characters. And all the movie can be out of your little boy's imagination, but still, in the end, you have to give life and voice to the characters with real people. And on Hotel Transylvania, you have a 3-star casting of comedians to give voice and life. Adam Sandler, David Spade, Selena Gomez, Steve Buscemi, Kevin James. How do you manage to keep your track to what you have seen on a visual point of view, on an animator's point of view, while you have all those personalities that are trying to make their place in the movie?
Well, they're all very funny, right? So right away you start with a very strong performance from them, especially David Spade, Steve Buscemi, Kevin James. They all have amazing comedic timing, Adam Sandler, Andy Samberg. And so we craft the joke, we write the joke, and then when they perform it, they are so good that they know how to deliver the joke, right? And so then it's my job to then take that performance and execute it in our kind of extreme, more cartoony animation style and communicate it to the audience, And it's a thing where, like, for me, I don't want you to watch the movie and think, oh, that's David Spade's voice.
No,
right?
Of
you
course.
want it to transcend his voice and become the Invisible Man, for example. Or you want to think of Dracula as Dracula, not Adam Sandler as Dracula. And I think that extreme cartoony performance sometimes helps you make the jump. If it was just the, kind of like more of classical, very fluid, normal animation, you would then start thinking about, oh, that's Adam Sandler. But because we're so extreme, the expressions, our physicality of everything, it hopefully makes you think like, oh yeah, that Dracula is a crazy guy, and not so much that it's Adam Sandler doing the voice.
Okay, thank you. Something that tickles everyone, every single human being in Annecy's festival, and maybe titillates everyone in the world of animation since a few years, and I hope I'm not doing a mistake asking this question,
yes.
But I am also wondering, what is the status of Can You Imagine?
Right now, there is no status.
Okay.
We haven't been working on it for a few years, and we're moving on to other things. And
but will it
You never say never, because when I started Can You Imagine, it was already 8 years old. So I thought I would never make it, and then we started it, and we didn't make it, so we're back to that. But it's something that I've always liked. It still has a resonance with people, and so one day maybe it'll make it, but right now, no.
Okay. So I'll give you the advice you gave to the students. Finish what you start.
Thank you.
And please deliver the Can You Imagine, because we just want to have a look to what's inside your head.
Thank you.
Because I think that's the pitch, right? That's your own
it
little
is,
boy's
for
machinery.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for all those serious or almost serious questions. I have one last question, which is quite difficult and will call upon your immediate imagination and creativity. If you had tomorrow to produce a film on Annecy and its festival, what would be your angle to wrap it up, and what could be the title?
Yeah, it's such a simple question.
Yeah, it is.
I think it would be about the people, the people who. There's a sense of people who love animation here, right? Especially all the students, and I think there's a love of animation. So I think it would be a love story between two animators who meet from different countries. Yes, and maybe it would be called Love at First Line, or Love at First Movement, or The Love of Animation, or something like that.
Love at First Light, it's quite good.
Yes.
Let's keep that, and
all right.
Let's have it for next year.
All right, I'll work on it.
Thank you very much.
All right.